Welcome back to World War Live, everybody. I'm your host, Conrad Franz, here on the evening of March 31st, 2026, the end of March. This is the last World War Live stream for Lent 2026. The next one will be Holy Week, and then after that, we will be feasting. So I hope everybody is staying strong in the fast. I hope everybody is keeping their prayers and looking forward to next week, intense week of services. So a lot of things going on. Be sure to keep us here at World War Now in your prayers. But much like things are heating up on the church calendar, of course, things around the world have not stopped. Again, we probably could have done a live stream every single day this month. And of course, with the war starting on Purim at the behest of the Jews, this war has perfectly now encompassed the entire month of March. March 2026 was a month where our country was entirely at war. So again, those saying nothing ever happens, did they think that March 2026 would be a war-filled month? Probably not. But here we are. I want to thank everybody for being here in the chat. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Like the stream. If you are watching and you haven't liked the stream, you're not a real fan. You're not a real patriot. So please like the stream, whether you're watching on YouTube, Substack, or X. Share it as much as you can. And of course, if you want to ask any questions, give a super chat here on YouTube, and I will do my best to answer it as best that I can. Of course, we're going to be playing some Ethnogesser later. I'm going to go through the news. But thank you again for everybody that is tuning in. Again, if you are a YouTube subscriber or a Substack subscriber or an X subscriber, and you are not subscribed on the other two platforms, do so, because for those that may be aware, you may already know, but this past week's World War Now episode 157 with Dimitri and I was supposed to be live streamed. It was live streamed if you watched YouTube and X. But if you were a Substack subscriber, of course, because Substack streaming is still in beta and it sometimes decides it doesn't want to work, it didn't work. So those watching Substack were like, where is this? Where's the episode? And you wouldn't have been asking that question if you had just subscribed across all platforms as we recommended. And of course, we got the episode of the stream uploaded within a few hours once we could get it downloaded and everything. But again, unfortunately, those kinds of things happen. So subscribe across all platforms. We're probably going to get the Rumble back up going here soon as well. So no excuses. Of course, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can find the show and the recordings on there as well. But if you are not already behind the World War Now paywall, if you are not already a subscriber on the Substack, which again, if you're watching on the Substack, you should know the drill. If you're watching on YouTube, it is linked down below. I'm going to toss the link in the live chat, so there is no excuse. But of course, Ether Hour paying, getting behind the paywall on the Substack, you get you access to hear all of the Ether Hour episodes, which at this point 112 plus episodes. We have our last interview with Zainab Al-Safar, Al-Mayadeen, resistance-affiliated journalist in Lebanon, very strong anti-Zionist, incredible interview with her. We have our talks with Jim Jatras, recent discussions with Anthony Westgate, huge talks with Andrei Afanasyev, Russian TV journalist, Levon Vasadze. Listen to this episode. This is a personal close friend of Patriarch Ilya, and he goes deep on some of the most fascinating things about the late reposed Patriarch of blessed memory. So we've got that. We've got our interview with Dr. Matthew Raphael Johnson and hundreds of other episodes, interviews with Rasputin, my interview with Metropolitan Mitrofan of Gorlovka in the Donbass. So much incredible content. Support us. Again, that is the best way to keep the lights on here at the proverbial World War Now bunker. I do this full time, so this is what we do. So if you want to keep the analysis coming, and if you want us to expand, to eventually maybe have more people and produce more content, that is the best way to do it. And if you're already behind the paywall on the Substack, be sure to visit the World War Now Buy Me a Coffee. Go to buymeacoffee.com/World War Now, and you can donate. You can either give a one-time donation if you don't want to get behind the paywall recurring, or if you already do and want to give us a little bit more support, it is also greatly appreciated. So thank you to everybody that supports us. I see a lot of people in the chat that have supported us in the past. So thank you all so much, those of you that have already done it. The shilling isn't really directed at you. It's directed at those freeloaders that tune in every week and for years and years and never give back, right? But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I know that for many people, this has been a momentous month. Many people have been watching us since the very beginning, and we've been talking about so much of this in between October 7th and between this, between a few other things. It's really crazy to see how much the analysis has been vindicated, and more so how much the words of the saints have really come to pass, perhaps even more quickly than many people may have thought. So here we are. But of course, you see the title of the stream: Trump surrenders? ? And that is the question right now. It appears that Trump is growing tired of the war in Iran, and is talking about leaving and withdrawing and allowing other countries to deal with the Strait of Hormuz. And people are going to be saying, do you believe that? And of course, I don't actually believe that, but it does show you that the cope from the White House and the Trump administration is monumental. Hegseth and Trump himself are both declaring victory. They're saying that there already has been regime change achieved in Iran, which I don't know what that means, considering that Iran is still launching missiles and blocking the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, the past 12 hours have been suspiciously quiet, as the OSINT sphere is noticing. I'm keeping track on the Telegram. And again, we've heard recently today for the first time, Abbas Araghchi confirmed that Iran has sent messages to the United States, but they said that these do not constitute negotiations and that they are not engaging in any kind of negotiations actually currently with the United States. And again, is that true? If they were negotiating, would they necessarily say it immediately to the public? Those are all questions for probably their own episodes. But as of right now, Trump is trying to claim that their Pakistan negotiations are going on right now. China and Pakistan are working together to try to facilitate negotiations. But alas, Abbas Araghchi, who has been seen present among the crowds still marching in Tehran in support of the regime, he has confirmed that there are no direct negotiations currently going on right now. But regardless, it's clear again that whatever talk of negotiations or a deal that'll be made in the next few days, all of this again is just more time buying for what is likely just the further American troop deployment. They're talking about raising the current deployment up to 50,000 soldiers in the region. Of course, the USS Tripoli, many of these amphibious assault brigades in the Marines, as well as, my hair is just going crazy tonight. I don't know what's going on, but as well as, of course, the 82nd Airborne, among other airborne paratrooper battalions are going to be moving towards the region. And Trump, even today, the headline was Trump seriously considering taking Karg Island. And again, I think Karg Island, well, if worse comes to worse, the U.S. may just destroy the oil infrastructure there to completely cripple Iran. What seems to me more likely is the Karg Island is somewhat of a distraction so that when they try to take Chabahar Bay or Keshem Island or one of these other islands actually in the Strait of Hormuz, that would potentially allow the U.S. to have a foothold to project power outward and then secure the area in the strait for safe passage. That might be something in the way there. But again, a lot of this has to rely on most likely an actual beachhead on the actual coast of mainland Iran itself. Like, this is 1,000 kilometers of coast that they ostensibly need to make sure can't just launch the infinite missiles and drones that Iran has on these islands, which is exactly what's going to happen. The moment any island is taken, let's say they just kill all the Iranian soldiers on it, they destroy all the military infrastructure there. What's stopping Iran from launching 1,000 drones in that immediate second afterwards and just killing everybody on the island? There's nothing stopping that. So ultimately, again, the predictions so far have been accurate. If you're going to press me for a prediction, it would be what Elder Joseph of Atapidi said, is that the United States will briefly take the coastal regions, the islands of Iran, and that then they will be bombarded and destroyed and face heavy losses. And again, the question really becomes, will that be an impetus for a 250,000 ground troop operation with regional powers involved to actually go in there and do something? And this is really just Iraq 100% over again. And by that point, again, Russia and China far more likely to get involved than they were back in 2003. The question then becomes, is that going to succeed? Is that operation going to succeed? And at that point, what does World War III look like? Because that's what we are looking at. So video came out today that was from March 30th. So it's from yesterday. I think people probably saw this video. This is what's going on in the Middle East. We have been completely driven out of Iraq, and we are our soldiers that are still in Kuwait. I believe that's where this was. From Kuwait, but March 30th. Here we go.
Oh, there's. Oh. Are y'all good? Everybody's good? Everybody over here is good? Yeah. Good. I saw that one come in. You guys all right? Everybody okay? Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So yeah, they are our guys are under fire over there, and there's no one to blame for the troop casualties over there but the Jews and Donald Trump. But again, I want to encourage everyone, send in a super chat if you want to hear any questions answered. I will be addressing any and all super chats. But again, this is from antiwar.com right here. I guess I can pull it up on the screen. Trump tells other countries reliant on the Strait of Hormuz to go and take it. President Trump said in a post on Truth Social on Tuesday that other countries that are reliant on energy shipments through the Strait of Hormuz should get involved militarily and take it from Iran as the Iranian military continues to control the strategic waterway. All of those countries that can't get jet fuel because of the Strait of Hormuz, like the United Kingdom, which refused to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, I have a suggestion for you. Number one, buy from the U.S. We have plenty. And number two, build up some delayed courage, go to the Strait, and just take it. President Trump wrote on Truth Social. You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done. Go get your own oil, President DJT, he added. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth backed up President Trump's comments during a press briefing at the Pentagon, suggesting other countries should stand up to help open the strait. I think the president was clear this morning in his truth that there are countries around the world who, I mean, see, this he's obviously means his posts on Truth Social are called a truth, but just like the sounds, I think the president was clear this morning in his truth. Like it literally sounds like, I mean, one, the left, but just again, very, very dystopian. Morning in his truth that there are countries around the world who ought to be prepared to step up on this critical waterway as well. It's not just the United States Navy. Last time I checked, there was supposed to be a big bad Royal Navy that could be prepared to do things like this as well, Hegseth said. So he's pointing out this is an international waterway that we use less than most. In fact, dramatically less than most. So the world ought to pay attention and be prepared to stand up, the U.S. war chief added. The comments from Trump and Hegseth came after the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump told his aides he's willing to end the war, even if it means leaving the Strait of Hormuz closed, though there's still no sign that real diplomacy between Washington and Tehran is underway. In the meantime, U.S.-Israeli strikes continue to pound Iran, and Iranian missile and drone attacks continue across the region. The U.S. is also deploying more troops to the region amid reports that the Pentagon is preparing for potential ground operations, which Hegseth made clear is a possibility. Our adversary right now thinks there are 15 different ways we could come at them with boots on the ground, and guess what? There are. So if we needed to, we could execute those options on behalf of the President of the United States and this department. So that's what we're dealing with. We are both imminently about to retreat and leave the Strait of Hormuz entirely to the devices of other parties, or we are imminently about to do a ground invasion. That tells you exactly how much knowledge you get out of Donald Trump and the Department of War and all of his people that are, you know, they do these press conferences and they tell us, look, the only way to stay informed, frankly, is you got to keep up with what the IRGC is saying. And then you got to keep up with World War Now and a few other voices that we regularly share. We got $8 from Beauty of the Struggle. Iran hitting a facility where TRT hormone blockers are produced is a pretty great win. So true. Teva Pharmaceuticals, the biggest pharmaceutical producer in the world, actually was decimated by an Iranian missile strike. So obviously the HRT producers are going down, but so many generic drugs and the access, I mean, that's going to be a big supply chain hit, which that's one of the few things that, unlike the rest of these energy hits, I'm sorry, I'm having crazy nose allergies today. Forgive me. Obviously all this energy disruption, North America, the New World and North America in particular is going to be the least affected by these oil and LNG shortages because we have enough of all of that to spare. But the pharmaceutical thing that will definitely hit us. So we got to be prepared for all of that. We do have U.S. jet activity over Isfahan. So obviously this brief lull was nothing, no ceasefire, no pause for negotiations, nothing like that. Operations are still very much continuing. And of course, another piece from anti-war here. Sorry, give me one sec. It says, Trump says he wants to invade Iran's Karg Island to take the oil. The president said that seizing and controlling the Iranian island would require a long occupation. President Trump told the Financial Times on Sunday that he wants to take Iran's oil in an operation that could involve the U.S. seizing the occupying Karg Island, a major Iranian export hub deep inside the Persian Gulf. The president said that his preference would be to take the oil and compared the possibility to Venezuela, where the U.S. has controlled the country's oil exports following the attacks to abduct Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. To be honest with you, my favorite thing is to take the oil in Iran. But some stupid people back in the U.S. say, why are you doing that? But they're stupid people, Trump told the paper. He also acknowledged that seizing and controlling Karg Island would require a long occupation. Maybe we take Karg Island, maybe we don't. We have a lot of options. It would also mean we had to be there in Karg Island for a while, Trump said. The comments come as the Pentagon is deploying Marines and U.S. Army airborne troops to the region to prepare for potential ground operations, which would likely result in significant U.S. casualties. Trump insisted it would be easy for the U.S. to take control of Karg Island, but U.S. forces would face significant Iranian missile and drone fire. I don't think they have any defense. We could take it very easily, he said. The president also claimed that Iran had given the U.S. a present by allowing some ships to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, but Iran is benefiting from the arrangement as it's reportedly charging transit fees and is earning much more on oil sales than it was before the war. Trump also repeated his claim that regime change has already happened in Iran since Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and other senior officials have been killed. But the assassinations have not slowed Iran's military response, and there is no sign the Islamic government will collapse. Khamenei's son, Mojtaba Khamenei, has taken over as the supreme leader, though Trump is claiming that he's either dead or in extremely bad shape since he hasn't made a public appearance. If he was dead, they would have already told us. So that can be very much confirmed. And of course, one of the big escalations, at least from Iran, was the strike of a desalination facility in Kuwait. Kuwait, 90% of their drinking water and fresh water comes from desal. So that's big. And again, third article here from Anti-War. Trump threatens to blow up Iran's desalination plants. President Trump on Monday added Iran's desalination plants to the list of infrastructure he may blow up if a deal isn't reached to end the war, threatening attacks on the country's water supply, a clear war crime under international law. The United States of America is in serious discussions with a new and more reasonable regime to end our military operations in Iran, President Trump wrote on Truth Social, though Iran continues to deny negotiations are taking place. Great progress has been made, but if for any reason a deal is not shortly reached, which it probably will be, and if the Hormuz Strait is not immediately open for business, we will conclude our lovely stay in Iran by blowing up and completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells, and Karg Island, and possibly all desalination plants, which we have purposely not yet touched. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked later in the day why President Trump was threatening what would amount to a potential war crime. Look, the president has made it quite clear to the Iranian regime at this moment in time, as evidenced by the statement that you just read, that their best move is to make a deal. The rest of the United States Armed Forces have capabilities beyond their wildest imagination, and the president is not afraid to use them, she said. Earlier in March, Iran said that the U.S. had struck a desalination plant on Iran's Keshem Island, affecting the water supply for 30 villages. The U.S. Central Command denied that it hit the facility, though the strike was also recorded by the Human Rights Activist News Agency, or HRANA, a U.S.-based and U.S.-funded NGO that's very critical of the Iranian government. The HRANA didn't specify if it was a U.S. or Israeli strike. Following the strike on the desal plant on Keshem Island, Bahrain said that an Iranian drone struck one of its desal plants. On Sunday, a desalination plant came under attack in Kuwait, killed an Indian worker. For its part, Iran denied it was responsible and claimed it was some sort of false flag operation. The U.S.'s Gulf Arab allies are extremely reliant on desal plants for their water supply, much more so than Iran, meaning that any large-scale targeting of such facilities in the region could cause a major humanitarian crisis. Yeah, Kuwait, like I said, 90%, Bahrain, huge reliance on desal. And again, Bahrain in particular, I mean, they are on the brink probably of some kind of revolution to overthrow their the Khalifa monarchy there. Just the Shia majority will likely want to see all of that come to an end. But Keshem Island, which is going to be very likely a target in a kind of U.S. ground operation, the Iranian citizens, about 125,000 Iranians live on Keshem Island, and they went to the streets, and they were all, thousands of them, waving the Iranian flag, the flag of the Islamic Republic. So I don't think Keshem Island is a particular bastion of Reza Pahlavi monarchism or Iranian liberalism or Kurdish separatism. I think it's firmly Persian, Shia, 12er Islamic Republic patriots. So I don't think the U.S. soldiers will be greeted as liberators. But this is from Rayam Navarm. It says the UAE wants to force the Strait of Hormuz open and is willing to join the fight, according to the Wall Street Journal. The UAE has begun a series of efforts to persuade the U.S. and others to open the strait by any means necessary. They've also said the U.S. should occupy islands in the strait, including Abu Musa. So again, there are many islands that Iran occupies that are slightly closer to the United Arab Emirates than Iran, so those would probably be the easiest ones for the U.S. with the help from the UAE to take. And the Iranians have made it very clear for the past weeks that whatever country, and they've indicated there's one specific country that is likely to go in, whatever country is helping the U.S. will face the most devastating response of all. And it seems that that is, without question, the UAE. The question, I think, is will Saudi Arabia join as well, because they seem to be the two powers that are really encouraging America, along with Israel, of course, to continue the strikes, to completely wipe out Iran. Excuse me. Completely force an actual regime change. That's what's going on. So the Hijaz Gulf states, the emirs and the sultans, they are the worst in the worst in all of this, the true Shabbos Goyim. So that's what we're currently dealing with. of course, we have some updates from Lebanon, but we have $5 from Silversight. What do you believe Israel's next move will be if Trump backs out? Any chance they go nuclear? Great interview with Zainab. Learned so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Gabby. Great super chat. Thank you for the $5. And Israel's next move, I mean, they could go nuclear. Again, they have made it clear. Netanyahu made it clear. I mean, he openly admitted, I need to find the video, that Netanyahu admitted that they dragged the U.S. into this war to become a world superpower. Let me find that video. Sorry, but again, stuff that was an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory literally a few days ago is just admitted from the mouth of the Prime Minister of Israel. But of course, we had the not surprising headline at all that the Israeli troops, there would be no Israeli ground participation alongside American soldiers should they go in on the ground. Not that we ever expected them to, but the Jews just had to make it very clear, like, do not expect any chosen blood to be spilled with the Goyim who are going to be going in here. $5 from Beauty of the Struggle. Do you have a take on the alleged 52,000 Christians that have been killed in Nigeria by Islamists? Well, Nigeria and the Sahel and other regions have been terrible for Christians for a while, but I mean, 52,000, I'm pretty skeptical. Again, I think a lot of these things are generally being, when these things get hyped up in the media, it's because we want the U.S. to go in. So not that I don't have sympathy for the Christians there. There's Christians being killed in East Africa as well. There's Christians being killed in the Congo, in Sudan, but you don't hear as much about any given one or the other because you only hear about it when it's in the interest of the U.S. to go in there, which was, we heard a lot of this going up before the U.S. did those strikes in Nigeria. And again, I think Israel and a lot of these places are afraid of Africa becoming, of course, America's afraid of, and France are afraid of Africa becoming a playground for the Russians. But look at Sudan. Israel and the UAE are supporting the Rapid Support Forces because now the Sudanese junta, imagine the RSF and the civil war in Sudan wasn't going on. The Syrian armed forces have said they are joining the war on behalf of Iran. So they would be launching missiles and firing things at Israel and Saudi Arabia as well. So again, the African parts of the Red Sea are very relevant to the Middle East, and it's all very relevant for energy. And again, in East Africa, Russia, I mean, Wagner, that's most of what they were doing these days, is fighting these Tuareg rebels and these other governments and supporting these juntas that had aligned with BRICS and whatnot. So again, could that all be happening and true? Of course. But in reality, we want to go into Nigeria because, the Christians in Nigeria specifically are, they're kind of what keep Nigeria in the unipolar orbit, whereas ostensibly the Muslims, I'm sure, I guess, would be more multipolar. That doesn't mean I support them at all. I really don't care about Nigeria. It's a big country, but again, it's all a big power game. But regardless, obviously, I do not support Islamism in Nigeria and hope that I wish the Christians there would just stand up for themselves and form a militia and win, right? Isn't that what you should do? But I mean, I guess that's what everyone does in Africa all the time. So not like that's really a solution. But we have here from Reuters, again, the Lebanon invasion is and so definitely probably the most intense part of the war right now because that's where the ground operations are happening. From Reuters here, Israel to destroy all houses near Lebanon border, defense minister says. Israel will destroy all the homes in Lebanese villages near the border, and 600,000 people who fled the south will not be allowed to home until northern Israel is secure, the defense minister said on Tuesday, vowing to inflict Gaza-like destruction on the area. Israel Katz reiterated Israeli plans to establish a buffer zone in southern Lebanon, saying that it would maintain control over a swath of territory up to the Litani River once the war with the Iran-backed Hezbollah group ended. More than 1.2 million people have been displaced and another 1,200 have been killed in Lebanon since Israel launched an offensive against Hezbollah on March 2nd, ignited by the group's decision to open fire in support of Tehran in the regional war. The Litani River meets the Mediterranean about 30 kilometers north of Israel's border, and the area between it and the Israeli border amounts to nearly a tenth of Lebanon's territory. The Israeli military earlier this month ordered residents to leave swaths of the south, Hezbollah-controlled southern suburbs of Beirut, and the group's political heartlands in eastern Lebanon. Lebanon's Minister of Social Affairs, Hanin Sayad, told Reuters that Israel's ground operation, which he described as a land grab, was deepening the risk that Lebanon would be stuck in long-term displacement. Katz said Israeli forces would eliminate Hezbollah's elite Radwan fighters who infiltrated the south and destroy all weapons. At the end of the operation, the IDF Israeli military will establish a security zone inside Lebanon, a line of defense against anti-tank missiles, and will maintain security control over the entire area up to the Litani River, including the remaining Litani bridges, he said in a statement. Displaced residents would not be allowed to return south of the Litani until the safety and security of residents of northern Israel is guaranteed. Tom Donenbaum, the professor of law at Stanford University, said the laws of war require that any controlled demolition of homes be justified by absolute military necessity, adding that destroying all homes near the border would not meet that standard. The unnecessary destruction of property can qualify as a war crime. And obviously, Israel does not care about any of that. And what we are currently seeing in Lebanon, again, we've seen fierce resistance from Hezbollah. They've managed to recapture several areas. I mean, 100 plus tanks have been destroyed at the hands of Hezbollah at this point. And again, Iran, when they replied to one of the initial 15-point negotiation plans that Trump and his Zog department put forward, their response said, not only do we reject these plans, but any future negotiation and peace deal, it will be if U.S. has to withdraw entirely from the region, and all aggression, if there is to be a ceasefire, that ceasefire would have to include Hezbollah. So all Israeli aggression against Lebanon would have to immediately stop. And Israel made it clear that in the event that the U.S. reaches a ceasefire with Iran, Hezbollah, Lebanon, that's a completely different issue. They're not going to stop. They're going to do that regardless of what occurs between the U.S. and Iran. So everyone needs to recognize that Israel's war is Israel's war. They're going to fight it how they see fit. But I have some maps here I want to show everybody about Lebanon and big update. So you want to stay listening because I've got some big news coming in the next few days. But here we go. Where is it? So it's right here. Hezbollah frontline sources report an ongoing buildup of Israeli forces in the outskirts of Ainita, Bin Shabel direction, southern Lebanon. The buildup is around the soccer field. It says here an Israeli Air Moss 450 was shot down by Hezbollah on the southern outskirts of Al-Aqiya a short while ago, just north of the Litani River. I can't remember where it was posted, but yeah, here it was. Hezbollah forces ambushed an IDF unit patrolling on the outskirts of western Nakura direction, southwest Lebanon. Hezbollah frontline sources report the fighting occurred less than an hour ago, leaving wounded on either side. The ambush confirms the presence of Hezbollah's Nakura unit in or around the heights of Harmul, which contradicts reports by other media that claim IDF controlled the city. So, again, Hezbollah is holding them back. There's some reports that Hezbollah has made incursions into Israel in certain sections, but a big piece of news that I was posting about on Twitter, of course, is the news about the Lebanese military's initial withdrawal from Ramesh and Ain Ebel. So I'll get that on the screen here. There's an update on this, by the way, so we will bring that. But I said the Lebanese armed forces have just abandoned the Christian towns of Ramesh and Ain Ebel, despite Zionist Jewish forces currently advancing towards them. These same armed forces are working against Hezbollah as they defend the south from this invasion. Of course, the Lebanese prime minister, who leads the Lebanese forces militia, which obviously he is ostensibly the one who's in charge of the army right now, so they're listening to his orders. Again, I've been told by many people that the actual fighting people in the Lebanese armed forces, many of them, of course, support Hezbollah. It says here, at this point, could be not more clear. It is either Hezbollah or Jewish occupation. Anyone in Lebanon speaking against the resistance at this stage is a traitor and a Jewish collaborator. How much more evidence do you need? The forces pulling out of these places, and Christians are not happy about it. But apparently, in response to this, what happened was the apostolic nuncio from Lebanon to the Holy See, to the Vatican, because a lot of these people are Maronites in these villages, they appealed, and a small detachment of the Lebanese armed forces are going to stay in these towns to protect them from the Israeli invasions, only at the behest of the Vatican itself. So, again, we have Hezbollah actually fighting against all of this, and meanwhile, Joseph Ayoun and the Maronites and Lebanese forces traitors, they want to pull the military out to allow Israel to kill their domestic enemies of Hezbollah. They would rather lose territory, see over a tenth of their country, ultimately all the way up to the rivers, almost a quarter of their country ultimately taken by Israel, just to see Hezbollah, the people fighting against their country, being invaded. They want to see them, they just want to see them destroyed, and they're willing to give their country away to Israel for it. It's absolutely disgusting. But we did hear a unsuccessful IDF attempt to storm the town of Rahaf Bin Jabel direction in southern Lebanon. Another Israeli Merkava tank was destroyed. So again, the Israelis are having a very hard time on the ground in Lebanon, like they always do. The Radwan forces are inflicting major casualties. I mean, the Israelis have announced multiple difficult security events. They're covering up major security censorship. Obviously, Hezbollah's taken losses as well, but again, they're fighting for everything that they have. This is an apocalyptic war for them. So, checking Substack chat, I want to say howdy, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Send in a super chat if you want to have it answered. We are vibing out here. Of course, the big news I wanted to discuss was that on Thursday, and I believe this will be free. It will be a free interview for everybody. It'll probably still be classified as Ether Hour, but it will be free nonetheless for everybody. Probably video as well. We will be interviewing Yaqub Riyad Saraf, the former defense minister of Lebanon, devout Orthodox Christian. He served as the defense minister of Lebanon from 2016 till 2019 under a different government. Several governments have come and gone since then, of course, but he was a strong supporter of Lebanese sovereignty against the aggressions of the Zionists. He was a supporter of the resistance, a strong Orthodox supporter of what Amal, Hezbollah, and the forces in the south are currently doing in fighting the Zionist aggressors. So we're going to be having him on, huge guest, somebody who should be able to enlighten us a whole lot about the demographics of the region, the sectarianism, and all sorts of other things. So yes, we are interviewing Yaqub, again, a former defense minister of Lebanon, really great guy. He went toe-to-toe against, he's gone toe-to-toe against top diplomats in Munich security conferences, other places. So strong resistor of Jewish aggression. So very excited to have him on. It'll be a special free video interview, like I said, of Ether Hour World War Now. But that is the update regarding the situation in southern Lebanon. It is ongoing. We're going to be following it very closely. And again, many people say that at a certain point, the Lebanese forces and the armed forces need to stop listening to the current government, but that would require a certain level of support and a coup of whatnot, which I don't know if they're ready for yet. But again, Syria also is claiming that they're neutral and everything. I mean, even though Israel and the U.S. continue to refuel in Syrian airspace, and Syria is very much not doing anything to help Iran or to not have the U.S. and Israel using their airspace. And even although recently the main thing that did occur was, after many years, the Syrian map is now effectively reunited. We're going to share that screen. And so again, for anybody that's been, I mean, I've been following, the Syrian civil war since 2018, live UA map. And now, with the exception, of course, of the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights and the As-Sueda governorate, which has basically separated itself from Syria, the Al-Jalani, HTS, very Turkish and Qatari-backed, very Wahhabi government, has control over almost all of Syria. And of course, you have the small Kurdish, factions in the SDF that have been integrated now into the military up there in the northeast. And you, of course, have the Latakia. All this coast here has been totally, all the Assadist holdouts have all been put down, of course. And these Turkish-controlled regions have obviously been handed over to the new domestic authorities. So as far as the world is concerned, we've got Zog-backed head choppers and Zog itself in the south. So that's handy-dandy, recognize them internationally, give them some awards, and start flowing in investment. That's what we like to see. Just a few thousand Christians just got killed in the past few days. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's as long as the Jews are safe. That's what's important, and that's why we allow them to invade Lebanon while all of this is going on. So that's the reality of the situation, unfortunately. But as we there's been some good footage, not a crazy amount, but some really good footage of some Hezbollah tanks getting taken out. Of course, in the region, Turkey is the main actual true neutral party that's trying to not get involved and to probably negotiate peace. I'm surprised they're not involved in the Pakistani-Chinese peace efforts, but this is a statement from the Turkish Ministry of Defense, because there was some kind of projectile launched into Turkey towards NATO facilities that were then shot down by NATO air defense. And it says right here from the cradle, The Turkish Ministry of Defense announces the interception of an Iranian ballistic missile using NATO air defense systems. Statement on the neutralization says a ballistic munition determined to have been launched from Iran and to have entered into Turkish airspace has been neutralized by NATO air and missile defense assets deployed by the in the Eastern Mediterranean. All necessary measures are being taken decisively and without hesitation against any threat directed at our country's territory and airspace, and all developments in the region are being closely monitored with priority given to our national security, respectively announced to the public. So obviously there's nothing about retaliation or her response because they're not trying to expand this out anymore, and Iran has denied that any of these missiles, any of their missiles have ever been directed towards Turkey. So again, could things misfire? Obviously, but we know Israel operates cells within Iran, and we know there's imitation missiles and drones that Israel and the U.S. operate that I think were likely sent in trying to get Turkey involved, because with Turkey, you get NATO Article 5. With NATO Article 5, you get everybody involved. So that's the situation there. And of course, the tragedy of that map of total Syrian control is that all of our favorite Assadist militias, like the Eagles of the Whirlwind, who you briefly hear us discuss with Zainab in the episode, are the Eagles of the Whirlwind, which are the armed wing of the SSNP, the Syrian Social Nationalist Party, which are, an effectively third positionist, anti-Zionist, secular Arab nationalist party founded by Antoun Sadat, devout Greek Orthodox Christian. Many Christians, majority membership are Orthodox Christians in Syria. They had Lebanese branch as well. And obviously they're not allowed in Syria anymore as they were persecuted by the government and fled. But their Lebanese branch, as recently as 2024, and I've heard even more recently, 2025, and now 2026 is the invasion. The few thousand holdouts from the Eagles of the Whirlwind, Christians, some Druze as well. But again, many Christians are fighting alongside Hezbollah against the Zionist invasion. So I got this patch recently. As a show of support for the resistance, as myself, a very third positionist nationalist person and a supporter of the Orthodox resistance in the region. That's what we got here. So I thought it looked cool as well. Eagles of the Whirlwind. But we have for more super chats. No new chats, but send in some super chats. We're going to play some Ethnogesser here in a second. Very slow evening on the super chats. So, of course, Porphyrios and Jonathan Kelly, they can't be here every stream. So the little donors gotta pick up the slack. All right, breaking. Multiple explosions in Bahrain. One confirmed impact. Locals tell RN. Smoke is rising from the U.S. Fifth Fleet base in Bahrain. Locals tell Ram Navarm that these are the loudest explosions that they have heard since the start of the war. Wow. So I don't know if my mic picked that up, but I just listened to the very loud explosion, and it was loud. So Bahrain, again, Bahrain is on the brink. I would not be surprised if Bahrain fell and we saw the Iranians assist a new Shia government there. And they can just, of course, they have the bridge with the Saudis, which I think has already been struck. But I think they will blow the bridge and they will be severed from their Sunni overlords on the Arabian Peninsula. Paisios, $2. Check my messages when you're done. Will do, man. Will do. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, the Discord link is linked down below. Get in the Discord. I've been more active in there recently. I want to tell everybody, get in the Discord. We want to keep it serious. Get in there. We want people who are smart, who are going to lock in, who are going to bring us new takes, analysis on everything, who are going to do some research, bring us new perspectives on this ongoing war. Because I'm doing my best to cover everything. But other things we want is people to clip the show. So if you wonder, how can I help, but I'm poor, I can't give any money, I can't get behind the paywall, I can't donate. Well, it's fine. How can you help? You can clip the show. You can clip this stream. You can clip the World War Now episodes. You can clip the Ether Hour episodes. And look, if you clip well enough, maybe I'll give you a free membership behind the paywall. But we need some clips. We need to get the word out, especially clips from the past 4 or 5 months of shows where Dimitri and I were accurately predicting the dates of this conflict, predicting what would come, talking about the prophecies, talking about how accurate this was. We need these clips so that people can start listening and so that people can be prepared for what's going to come next, because that's something I wanted to bring to everybody's attention as we are approaching again the end of the first month of this conflict. We're hearing many people again that potentially Erdogan might fall in June. Again, I'm not confirming or rejecting that, but that's something that many people have said. But again, a friend of mine, and had an acquaintance of his at, I'm not going to explain the whole Telegram channel, but basically a friend of mine was at St. Anthony's Monastery, and I spoke to Father Philaretos, who's one of the fathers there that speaks to a lot of visitors, and he said apparently that Abbot Paisios and others at St. Anthony said that we have a few months left until most of the real intense prophecies take place. And he told me that he's talking about Metropolitan Neophytos and World War III. And he said that Father Filaretto said to this person, if he was in his shoes, he would get out of the city. So if some people are on the brink and they need the impetus to make that decision, maybe, and you have the ability to, perhaps it is time to move into that rural area, or to at the very least, I think it's time for people to get some dried food, get some MREs, make sure you've got water filters, make sure you're tight with your parish and your community, prepared for these sorts of things. Maybe start growing some food. That's probably what we need to start doing. But speaking of prepping, $20 from Jonathan Kelly, crude oil subsidy fund. Thank you. That will be going to my next expensive gas fill up. Thank you, Jonathan. Real patriot in the chat. $5 from Ewar Mapping. Do you think Trump will announce a ground invasion into Iran tomorrow night? Is in his address to the nation. That's true. Trump has announced tomorrow, Wednesday evening, 9 p.m. he will be addressing the Iran situation. And frankly, I would be surprised if he was to announce a ground invasion. I think if that's going to happen, they're going to try their best to have the element of surprise. So I think what will happen is there'll be another attempt to announce some crazy negotiations with the Iranians, or some crazy new deal, in an attempt to really, really get the market to chill out, so that when he goes in, the market will already be mostly chill, so that they can then run with that. And then even if it is a disaster, if there is a military disaster, maybe the market will have been slightly chilled out for the response to that. But again, who knows? If it's about Iran, it could be about anything. It could be about a big invasion. It could be about, Trump did say that he's not thinking about doing a ground invasion to grab the uranium. He said it is so deep underground, we likely can't get it. So maybe it's a bluff. Maybe that's what will happen. They'll send in some Delta Force guys and they'll grab some of the 400 kilograms of uranium, or whatever it is that Iran currently has. So who knows? There's all sorts of possibilities. Of course, the Cuba thing is relevant as well. Russia, in the next few days, their ships and tankers to Cuba will arrive. Mexico has pledged they will be violating the U.S. Blockade, and will be sending their oil from their state oil company to Cuba for humanitarian and economic purposes. So big developments in the great game there. We don't know what is coming, but yes, we will. I don't know. I will have just been at service, but maybe I get home, maybe we'll do a live stream, or maybe I'll, get in the Discord, or maybe we'll live react in the Discord to the Trump address. So join the Discord if you want to see that. No promises, but that's something I'll consider. $5 from Stephen Sterling. Did you see the video that claimed the war will last 2 to 3 months before things really go down? And I didn't see that, but it wouldn't surprise me, because 2 to 3 months, that will be June. And if Erdogan falls, then that's when we know the Russians really get involved, and this the Russia-Ukraine war and the Iran war will merge. And the idea that this isn't World War III, that won't be entertained anymore. Everyone will recognize it. It will be World War Now. And in theory, World War Now will be the most popular news channel. It will be on every television, and no one will have to listen to insufferable journalists anymore. It'll be just Conrad and Dmitry and the guests, right? Of course, that's not going to be what happens, but it will very much be a World War Now. And look, I mean, who was it? It was Lavrov said we're about to be in World War III. Vucic, the Chud himself, said we're already in World War III. People are saying this. And what was it? It was the Italian foreign minister and Philippines foreign minister. They said that the things that they know are not allowing them to sleep at night. So again, this isn't a show where we get on here and tell people to panic and freak out, but we've been telling people to prepare for a very long time for this. So this isn't surprising. This isn't something that should shock World War Now patriots. But it's here. Like, we weren't just saying this to get viewers out of the hope that nothing ever really happens and we just leave people on. I've been very confident that this was all going to go down, frankly, since 2022, since I started the show, and before that, even when I ran the American Byzantine, and the first time I ever encountered the prophecies of St. Paisios when I became Orthodox. To me, it was very obvious that they were accurate and should be heeded, and that was why I started the show, because I didn't think enough people agreed, and I thought that if a show existed that talked about them in a realistic, sober-minded way, that wasn't paranoid, that wasn't, schismatic, I guess, for lack of a better word, that wasn't trying to freak people out or cause some kind of parachurch thing, then people would easily be able to see that, okay, the saints are the modern elders. These are people we should listen to. And it's a way to in my opinion, to enchant the world, to get us back to an Anshin regime, to get us back to a Christian civilization where elders and monks and holy bishops are listened to more so than financial speculators and other Jews that they put on TV. We have $10 from Stephen Sterling again. Some things I've been working on: gardening, building a hand water pump, fixing my bike, increasing stamina/travel abilities. I'm also researching pyrolysis to create diesel, very based. $4.99. I'm using the prophecies to try to improve personal repentance. So true. And that's, again, prep all you want, but the most important preparation is in the heart and the soul. You need to be increasing your Jesus prayer, even just the past few days, not really just for other personal reasons. Keep me in your prayers. It's not always easy out here for your boy, but I've been leaning more into the prayer and really making sure I say my Jesus prayer, my prayer rope on top of my morning and evening prayers and my prostrations and prayer of Saint Ephrem and all of that. So I hope everyone is doing the same, and please do genuinely keep me in your prayers. Conrad is my baptismal name, so anybody that didn't know that it's just Conrad, Saint Conrad of Constance. I should have a hand painted icon of him soon. We have explosions in Dubai from the latest reports, so the war rages on. But of course, this other story, I may bring a few other things up, but this is the real tragic story this week, the real black pill, if there was one. And that is the world, the evil one, the Antichrist beast system, and Zog in all its forms, not just literal Zionism, but they come after their enemies, and no one is an enemy of Zog and the evils of this world, the Metropolitan Neophytos. And of course, you see the headline: Metropolitan Neophytos of Morphu to face retrial over COVID-19 restrictions case. A Cypriot Court of Appeal has unanimously overturned an acquittal issued in favor of His Eminence Metropolitan Neophytos of Morphu and ordered a retrial before a different judge of the Nicosia District Court to be held as soon as possible. The case concerns events of January 2nd and 6th, 2021, so literally over 5 years ago, when during the period of COVID-19 restrictions, Metropolitan Neophytos urged the faithful at 2 church services to proceed to the Carcotis River for the theophany blessing of the waters. Hundreds gathered with him for the blessing. He was issued a fine on the day but refused to pay it. We covered this, even though this was before the show, we've discussed this many times. On April 4th, 2023, the Nicosia District Court acquitted him on all charges. I remember when this happened, we talked about it on the show, ruling that his actions constituted the legally permitted exercise of religious worship, and specifically that his invitation to the faithful to attend the blessing did not amount to incitement to commit a criminal offense by participating in an unlawful public assembly. The Court of Appeal, accepting the arguments of the Attorney General in their entirety, found that the lower court had erred in characterizing the matter as protected religious practice, reports the Orthodox news agency. The appellate court noted that Metropolitan Neophytos' own words during his January 2nd address clearly reflected his awareness that the action in question was not permitted and carried a penalty, and that his encouragement for no one to be absent was an evident inducement in the ordinary sense of the word, with no preference to compliance with the applicable laws or decrees. Given that the case involves matters of public health, the Court of Appeal held the interests of justice required to be retried. The case was handled on behalf of the Attorney General by Petros Varnavas, Counsel of the Republic. This is not the first incident in which Metropolitan Neophytos has faced legal scrutiny in connection with COVID-19 measures. In 2020, police interrupted his Palm Sunday Divine Liturgy, leading to an investigation. However, the Attorney General subsequently determined that he had not violated any quarantine measures by celebrating the service, and no charges were brought. So, look, they got Metropolitan Tychikos. They persecuted him. He's now pursuing remuneration with the secular courts, and now they're going after Metropolitan Neophytos again and again. Does anybody in Cyprus probably care about this? No. But Metropolitan Neophytos refuses to recognize the schismatics. He refuses to go along with the Zionist takeover of Cyprus as Jews flood in, and he obviously refuses to embrace in the future what will be U.S. and EU operations probably against Russia, which obviously he would not go along with. So they need to silence any voices of dissent, especially as the EP continues to move towards ecumenism and other such nonsense. But speaking of that anti-Semitic conspiracy we were talking about, this was that video I wanted to show everybody. I'll play it while I find something else.
And this is the guarantee for our future. We are working on transforming Israel into a super nation in the region and globally. And we were able to do so thanks to our soldiers and our captains and all those who fought and those who died. And of course, thanks to your solidarity and your steadfastness. And this is the guarantee for our future. We are working on transforming Israel into a super nation in the region and globally. And we were able to do so thanks to our soldiers and our captains and all those who fought and those who died. And of course, thanks to your solidarity and your steadfastness. and this is the guarantee for our future. We are working on transforming Israel into a super nation in the region and globally, and we were able to do.
That's right, a super nation globally. They started the war in Iran for that purpose. And of course, Cyprus getting taken over by the Israelis. Let's play this.
Is mad at Israel right now and seeking help. This is because during the 12-day war with Iran, thousands of Israelis fled the promised land for this little island, the Mediterranean northwest of Lebanon and Israel. Now, during this 12-day war, Cyprus government is now finding out that these Israelis, using fake names and fake passports because they were coming on a boat, were buying up a lot of land, and Cyprus similar to what they did to Palestine in the 1930s and 40s. And following his blueprint, the Cyprus government is now worried that this could turn into a new Israel, or that the Israelis are going to take over the island, similar to what they did to Palestine. And when Cyprus started taking up this land bought by the Israelis who live in Israel and not Cyprus, the Israeli government sent a letter to Cyprus calling them anti-Semitic for buying back land that was illegally purchased. The government of Cyprus, which is monitored by Greece and Turkey, is beyond pissed right now. The Israel cancer-like entity spreading like a cancer in Cyprus, and Cyprus is seeking help. Stay ahead, stay informed.
So yeah, Cyprus, they're not necessarily happy about the Israeli takeover. And again, the prophecies say that Cyprus will be neutral in the midst of the conflict. There will be a brief kinetic moment. The Turks will have to pull their troops out because the war will be elsewhere, and then Cyprus will ostensibly be somewhat peaceful. But I meant to bring this up when it occurred last week. It's been exactly a week since this was reported. I'm going to pull it up on the screen from Telegram right here, and this is from the Beirut Times. It says the Beirut Times learned that the director of the Cypriot intelligence agency, Tassos Zionis, contacted a reassuring message to Iran about not allowing the use of the British base Akrotiri on its territory to attack Tehran. Zionis requested Hezbollah's mediation due to its good relations with them, in the absence of any relationship with Iran. On the other hand, according to the information obtained by the Beirut Times, the goal behind this message is to prevent the attack from expanding to include Cyprus, especially in light of the complete paralysis that the island is currently suffering from, and out of fear of withdrawing investments from it, which are distributed from Israeli, Russian, and Middle East investments. So again, the Cypriot head of intelligence called Hezbollah to say, we are not going to attack you, we are not involved in this conflict. So that's a sign, again, that in the Cypriot political mindset still, even under the ostensibly neoliberal government, that they want neutrality, that they do not want to get involved in all of this, even though they unfortunately have the British bases there. And if there are strikes on Cyprus, thankfully they should be exclusively relegated to those British bases. So if you live in Cyprus and you live on the bases, get out, because I know there's thousands of civilians that live in those areas. Just gotta get out of there. But this is another sign that I think the prophecies are spot on and are again, they're predicting things that you could understand as politically true only if you were like a deep insider, for example, in a place like Cyprus, which Metropolitan Yovitos, he's known all of the relevant political figures in Cyprus for a very long time. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Not seeing any more new super chats, so probably going to play some Ethnogesser here in a second. I saw someone saying something, but yeah, I think here in the next few weeks, again, even the next week or two, things are really gonna heat up. And again, I think when June comes, it would not surprise me if this summer the two fronts, Russia, Ukraine, and Iran, the Middle East, those conjoin, and then new fronts that aren't even specifically in those two places start to become the focus of everyone's attention. None of that would surprise me in the slightest. And again, the Greenland thing, this all comes into it, because this is going to see much like World War II saw the redrawing of maps and so much other stuff. This is going to see a change to the world order. I mean, changes in systems of government, changes in systems of control and how we operate. And again, with the AI stuff, I mean, we might see total Wally world, UBI, technocratic control. Most people don't have to work anymore, and we have credits. These sorts of things. This is from Pete Hegseth. We're gonna play.
That is why President Trump has drawn a new strategic map from Greenland to the Gulf of America to the Panama Canal and its surrounding countries. At the Department of War, we call this strategic map the Greater North America. Why? Because every sovereign nation and territory north of the equator, from Greenland to Ecuador and from Alaska to Guyana, is not part of the global South. It is our security perimeter in this great neighborhood that we all live in. Each one of these countries border either the North Atlantic or the North Pacific. Each one of these countries sits north of the two basic geographic barriers that exist in this region, the Amazon and the Andes Mountains. This is basic geography that we don't teach in schools as much as we should. And it restores our north-south relations, and we must get it right. In the north, the United States must enhance posture and presence in cooperation with you and our sovereign partners to defend our shared immediate security perimeter. In the south, meaning south of the equator, the other side of this great neighborhood, we will strengthen partnerships through increased burden sharing. This will enable you to take your greater role to defend the South Atlantic and the South Pacific, and to secure critical infrastructure and resources in partnership with us and other Western nations. This is what we did in World War II, just like we sunk ships with torpedoes in World War II. At the Department of War, we called it the quarter sphere defense. And we will do this again.
This is mad at Israel right now.
This is also good news for Cyprus, which again, they might be facing fuel shortages. They're the main place that, should be paying attention when Metropolitan Neophytos says they'll be trying to find donkeys because there will be no fuel. So if you have a donkey in Cyprus, hold him close. It says Cyprus transformed after a wetter than usual winter. Satellite images show how rainfall can rapidly reshape vegetation across the island. So thankfully they've built up some greenery and some water, hopefully, so they'll be more prepared for the trials to come. And people in comments talking about Europe being a front. And again, Russia, again, at some point, I do believe that with Israel and other aggressions that will include Russia and others, that the Russians are going to be forced to go harder in Ukraine. So I think we're going to see an escalation sometime in April or May in Ukraine. And then again, with the recent drones flying into Russia from Estonia, using Polish, Lithuanian, Latvian, and Estonian airspace to then fly into Russia, the Russians are going to have to retaliate in some escalatory way. And a lot of the prophecies say that nuclear weapons will be used on the Scandinavian countries, Finland, Sweden. So again, I hope that doesn't happen, but that is reiterated in multiple prophecies from multiple saints. So we need to be aware of those realities. Excuse me. The situation, of course, with Turkey and Erdogan getting taken out, completely unpredictable black swan situation. But there's rumors that Erdogan is behind the scenes. They've been potentially looking at how to, because we know they assisted Iran by sharing intelligence to resist Kurdish incursions back in January when the protests happened then. And there's rumors that the Turks might be looking at ways behind the scenes to potentially put their finger on the lever for Iran in a certain way, which again, that's probably not true. I don't think that's happening at all. But that story was put out by the Jewish media in the United States, and they're escalating it likely so that if things get out of hand and they do need to employ the Turkish military, that they can say Erdogan was trying to collaborate with the Iranians. He betrayed NATO. He was betraying us. And so therefore Israel and us, we had to take him out. And this will make it easier to integrate Turkey into the European Union. And now we can use the powerful Turkish army through NATO to go into Iran. And again, that happens. You can see how the Russians would realize a problem would happen very quick, and they would descend down like lightning. They would descend down without warning, and they would realize, oh no, we've been playing this all wrong, and this was total war this whole time. That starts to make sense geopolitically, not prophetically. So that's why we told you about the prophecies years ago, so that now when the geopolitical reality has shifted and it's happening, you didn't have to be paying attention to all the autism like me. You just had to listen to the saints, which is what most people, priests, if you have a good priest, should tell you to do, to read the saints and to heed them. So that's where we're at. We are deep in the Third World War at this point, 2026. It really was the year. And here we are, a fourth year of World War now. And that's when it arrived. I mean, it was, again, World War III started in 2020, 2021. I would agree with Metropolitan Neophytos. And then 2022, indisputably. But here we are, 2026, and the fronts are about to merge. So that's where we are. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I want to thank all the super chatters so far: Beauty of the Struggle, Silver Sight, Jonathan Kelly, Paisios, Ewar Mapping, Stephen Sterling. If anybody else wants to ask any questions, feel free to send in a super chat. We're going to be monitoring the news, but it appears that it is time for some Ethnogesser, the game everyone really tunes in for, to watch me play the racist version of Geogesser. So I already announced we will be having former defense minister of Lebanon on the show on Thursday. On Saturday, I will be going on stream with David Patrick Harry from Church of the Eternal Logos. And I might be doing something else with Anthony Westgate this week. A lot of things happening. So stay tuned. Follow us on X at World War Now _. Follow us on the Telegram at World War Now Telly. Follow me on X at GnomeRad if you haven't already. Let's go up to the top there, actually. Follow me. Give me to 13,000 followers. I want to see that number change. So follow me there. Obviously, follow the World War Now X account as well. Subscribe to the Substack at worldwarnow.co. Get behind the paywall. We got a big episode with Warren Baylog as well. Ether Hour should be dropping. That'll be behind the paywall. So tune in for fantastic conversation with Warren. We discuss Trump and how ultimately this war with Iran was really why they got Trump in the first place. So get behind the paywall. Listen to the full conversation with Warren. That'll drop tomorrow or Thursday. I'm sure it'll drop tomorrow probably, because we also have the interview with former defense minister Saraf. So that'll be coming up. So support us there. Obviously, go to the Buy Me a Coffee. Like I said, buymeacoffee.com/World War Now. Donate whatever you please. But yeah, obviously, send in whatever super chat, subscribe. Please subscribe on the YouTube. We want to get up to 10,000 YouTube subscribers sooner rather than later. So thank you, everyone, for joining. $4.99 from Jonathan Kelly. Ethnogesser is cool and all, but when are you going to play Five Nights at Epstein's? I don't know if I'll be playing Five Nights at Epstein's. I'm not even good at those kinds of games, and I never played Five Nights at Freddy's anyway. So I wouldn't be. It would be an embarrassing moment. Whereas this, I'm a high level racist. But maybe if enough people donated on a future stream, maybe I'd be forced to play. I may be forced to download Five Nights at Epstein's. Eventually this will just be turning into a gaming stream, and obviously I used to be a gamer and play video games, but I was never super good at video games. So I'm gonna be getting clowned on the stream. But maybe someday we'll get some World War Now guests on, and we'll do a Crusader Kings stream or something and get really autistic about it. But here we go, locking in. Oh boy. Oh, we've had this one before, haven't we? I think these are like Basques, I think. Boom. That's how we do it, baby. Ancient European type associated with the Basques. That's what we like. Oh, I'm not even screen sharing. Okay, but I got it. Round one. €2. God bless, from Skibbity G. Thank you, Skibbity G. But look, I know it would have been better if you saw me get it, but perfect 5,000 off the rip. Would you have known those were Basques? All right. Now we're on to the next one. Oh boy. I'm assuming these got to be like Central Americans, right? Very loud cricket here. I don't know if that's getting picked up on the mic, but I'm assuming these are Guatemalans. That's kind of what it looks like to me. I'm not seeing our resident South and Central Americans in chat to help us here. A Mexico place, yes. Everyone seems to be saying Central America. Mexikid. So who said a Mexico place, you were correct. So yeah, these are just the illegal immigrant phenotype. I'm sorry, this is the illegal immigrant phenotype. That's what this is. Straight up. Okay. Now these are like Mongolians. Like I don't think these are going to be like Northernoids as much necessarily. What's everyone thinking? Like I'm thinking these like actual Mongols, these like Inner Mongolia Mongols, or these Russian Mongols. But the guy looks like quintessentially Mongolian to me. I'll let the chat discuss for a second or two. I think I'm probably going to lock in. Wow. Yeah, that's why I needed people to hedge. I literally said I didn't think it was Inuits, but it is. Escamid type proper. Yeah, the people look super Mongolian to me, but yeah, far northerners. Yeah, Greenlanders. I don't really understand why it's only, I don't understand why it's like doing it like that, but yeah, no good. We're gonna need to win those points back. Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure I know this. This has got to be like Cambodia. What? Diakid, Proto-Malayan. This looks exactly like Cambodians, man. Guess they're Borneans. Not Lao. Lao was even more wrong than Cambodia. So I would have gotten points if I went in freaking Bangladesh too? And these places, this is BS. I could have gone like anywhere except where I went. All right. Well, at least we got like 2,500 points, right? Yeah. Okay. White people. These people are very white. So I really do think Sweden, Denmark. What do you guys think? Man, this cricket is really bothering me. I hope he's not in my wall. Czech, Scotland. Turkish. Nah, dog. The eyes look slightly more Asiatic than others, so I mean, I kind of maybe. Dang it. You were right when you said Baltic. I knew it was going to be farther east because of the eyes. That's why I hedged like over here, but I should have just gone here. Yeah. Fenno-Nordid. Ancient type of northeastern Europe, sometimes placed in Nordid, sometimes East Baltid. Finno-Ugric people, once widespread in Russia. Minority element in Eastern Finns, Mordvins, Komi people, Mari Udmurt, Karelians. Yeah. Very close, but I probably should have gotten that. Lithuania, Estonia. That's what I should have gone, but not too bad. Very close. Oh. Was this also North Africa, or was like I've seen this one before and I forget. I don't think this was the Sardinian. I'm feeling North Africa, but so maybe that reminds me of the Sardinian thing. We just had the Basque. We just had the Basque, and it was not this. Although I think it looks kind of similar. I mean, I could guess Sardinian, but I just hope these aren't Sardinians. I mean, that's a brown guy, man. Like, that's a brown. That's not a white man. I'm kind of remembering this being like Morocco. I kind of remember this being like over here. Like, I'm really, for some reason, I really think it was over here. I might be totally wrong, but I'm gonna lock that in unless someone says something that's really convincing. No, I'm just locking that in. Oh, yep, Paleo Sardinian. You were right, man. I feel like they should give me points for this. Like, that's why. Like, that's bullshit, man. Like, you really telling me that this was an ancient type, widespread in Sardinia? I don't know. Yes. Again, I feel like this is bullshit. Like I just clicked there for like a hedge. Like, I should have gotten that. Well. I mean, look, I went in the region. This should have been more points in my opinion. Thank you, Stephen, for the $2. That should be more than 2,100 points. That should be like a 4,000 in my opinion. But okay. These are like pygmies or something. Are these African pygmies, or are these like these just more Polynesians or something? Yeah, it could be Malaysia. No, those people are really dark. Like, it could be more over here, but it's not like these people. Could be over here, though. People are saying Papua. I don't know. They do look kind of Malaysian to me. I've got 3 Papua / Guinea. So I'm going to lock that in if no one else feels strongly against. Yep, Malaysia. Should listen to Steven again. That's what I was going over there. So all you Papua heads, you own that one. Not a good score, 183. We're losing our average in a major way. All right, we got to get perfect scores on these next ones. None of these are easy. What is this? What is this? Peru. Oh. Isthmid, centralid type. Colombia. Yeah. Okay, still 25.99, but farther north. Okay. All right. These got to be Polacks or something. Like, that guy has to be a Slav. Savolaxid, East Baltid variety. I mean, I still got it right, but core population Eastern Finland. We're getting a lot of Finns this time. I guess they do look pretty Asian, so should have gone a little farther north. But I just hedged Ukraine, Poland, Belarus. Brest region, the Union of Brest. All right, final round. Let's get it. What the hell is that, man? Like, Kurdish, Greek, Arab, Middle East. Shia LaBeouf. Oh, yeah. He's sort of like a swarthier Shia, who is Jewish, of course. The guy kind of does look Kurdish if we're keeping it a hundo P. Which would put the real place to go right there. He really does have this is Kurdish Shia LaBeouf. Let's do it. Let's see if this is Kurdish LaBeouf. Boom! A Seroid. Semitic type that unites Armenoid with Arabid features. Historically important in the ancient Hittite kingdom and the Assyrian civilization. Diluted today, purist and Isfahan Jews. Maybe that is Shia LaBeouf. Maybe Shia LaBeouf is an Isfahan Jew. But also Ashkenazi Jews and some Syrians and Iranians. Medieval migrations brought it to India, Africa, and Europe, and it was traditionally found in Poland, Belarus, and the Rhine Valley, and India, some of the Parsi, and Tota. Yeah, pretty great stuff. Nailed it. Some straight Mesopotamian ass region right there. We finished on a good note. Not Kurdish, but I got the region right. And it was even more Shia LaBeouf because it was a Jew. But how do we do? Top 15%. All right, we met our baseline. This is the baseline. Like, that's the worst we should do, is that round. Top 15%. Well, it must have just been the Jews in Ethiopia. Just, some admixture with that type of guy. All right. Well, we did okay. Should have gotten the 3,000. We really need to be getting 3,000 and above. Like, getting below 3,000 is unacceptable. Let's see. Any updates? A few Telegram updates. United Arab Emirates is preparing to help the U.S. and other allies open the Strait of Hormuz by military force, according to Arab officials to the Wall Street Journal. The UAE has also said the U.S. should occupy all the islands in the Strait of Hormuz, including Abu Musa, some of the Arab officials said. So we're sharing that. Big news. Then we have Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara. Iran has a problem with trying to manufacture ballistic missiles and the nuclear bomb and trying to influence other countries. We recommend negotiations rather than military power because it will lead to more danger. Shut up, faggot. Have you helped to stop Iranian weapons getting to Hezbollah in Lebanon? Ahmed al-Shara says, it is the duty of the Syrian state to protect its borders. No state would accept open borders and smuggling of weapons. So he's saying he is stopping Iran from sending weapons to Syria. President Trump says it's not necessary for Iran to sign the agreement in order to just end this military operation. So Trump surrendering, that is very much a reality. That's why the title is this. Trump, we will leave Iran within 2 to 3 weeks, and there's no reason for us to stay. I think this is kayfabe. I think this is all preparing for a big operation. U.S. President Trump, any future attempt to acquire a nuclear weapon will face crushing strikes similar to what is happening now. I mean, he's communicating as if he's totally lost. Says Bahrain's Ministry of the Interior Civil Defense is extinguishing a fire in a facility of a company as a result of the Iranian aggression. Ooh, a company was struck. Sharing that as well. So be sure to follow us. We're told that Americans are apparently the impacts on Hamallah, and there are Americans hiding in Hamallah, Bahrain. So follow us on the Telegram at World War Now Telly. A lot of things going on. Gonna a lot of shows. So again, get behind the paywall at worldwarnow.co to hear the recent episode coming up with Warren Baylog. Should be coming out tomorrow. And of course, you will also see our upcoming interview with the former defense minister of Lebanon. So huge things coming up. Not seeing any more super chats. So in the next 2 minutes or so before we wrap this up, be sure to send in any super chats, any questions you would like me to answer or address, send those in. But again, worldwarnow.co, going to drop it in the live chat one more time so there's no excuse for anybody not to tap in. Get behind the paywall, support the show. Again, visit the Buy Me a Coffee at buymeacoffee.com/World War Now. I'm going to pop that in the chat as well if you want to donate and support the show directly on top of supporting us behind the paywall on Substack, or if you want to just give a one-time donation, this is a great way to do it. Again, be sure to follow us on X at World War Now _. Follow me on X at GnomeRad. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you've not already subscribed on YouTube. So if you're watching this on Substack or X, go right now, type in World War Now on YouTube and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube and you're not already on the Substack, get there. And if you're not already following on X, follow us there as well. If you have friends that watch on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, be sure to send this to them on there. Obviously, the audio of these streams are available on those as well. After they're uploaded to Substack, it automatically gets uploaded, but some people like those platforms. So make sure that your friends that like those platforms know that World War Now is on there. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Like the episode. Please like this. If you're watching this replay on Substack, please like it as well. That's probably the most important place likes are. So if you haven't already, go to Substack, make an account, and go through and like every single episode of World War Now. That's another great way you can help us by increasing our likes on there. We are, of course, in the top 100 world politics Substacks. That's always a great achievement. We really want to get into the top 50. So let's get into the top 50 world politics on Substack. Recommend us to shows that you want us to go on in the comments. Clip the show. Again, please clip the show. Take clips from the show that you found good or interesting, or go to previous shows and find predictions that we made and clip those. That's a really good way to help. Not seeing any more super chats, so it looks like it's about time to land the plane here on this episode. So thank you all for tuning in. World War Live, episode 135. We're still in the midst of the Third World War. We will be covering it closer than anybody else. So we'll see you on the next one. Again, I don't know if there will be a World War live stream next week. It is Holy Week, so there will probably be Ether Hour and World War Now episodes, and maybe I'll do some other things. But at the very least, on Tuesday evening and Wednesday evening, there will definitely not be a World War live stream. So everyone needs to be attending the services at their parish this coming week. Of course, Palm Sunday, since there might not be a stream. I should talk about that. I wanted to talk about the donkey. So let's share the screen there. Send in some super chats here while I give the bonus content. But I wanted to talk about the grave of Christ's donkey for a brief moment, if you all will humor me. There we go. So let's pull that up. There we go. So it says, someone posted here, it says, the donkey that carried Jesus into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday refused to leave his side. It stood in the shadow of the cross during the crucifixion. Its descendants now carry the image of the cross on their backs. It's all real. And of course, see the iconic Jerusalemite donkey with the cruciform. So I do believe this. Then I quote tweeted, the grave of the donkey that Christ rode into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday is located at the St. Mary Magdalene Orthodox Church and Convent on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem and can be visited to this very day, assuming Zionist authorities haven't tried to shut it down. And Dmitri and his family, they were close friends with one of the abbesses of this monastery on the Mount of Olives, so it's close to the World War Now extended family. And there's the grave. That is where the donkey that carried Jesus Christ into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, which will be this coming Sunday for us Orthodox Christians. Any Westoids, happy Palm Sunday to you, but you're on the wrong calendar. But yes, so if you go to the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, probably not the safest time to go, but if you are there, go and you can see the grave of this the most blessed donkey to ever live. So if you want to see where I have pictures of where this was, it's one of the most beautiful churches in the world on the Mount of Olives, Russian Orthodox. This is Rokor, actually, one of their properties in the Holy Land. Again, very, very striking images. Of course, there we have Christ entering Jerusalem on the donkey in iconographic form. So beautiful to see. We love donkeys. I loved the mules that I rode on Mount Athos. That was a fantastic experience. And I think all of creation and all the animals, they love God even better than us humans do, who are created in his image. So something we should all keep in mind. But yeah, Saint Donkey, pray for us. in however way donkeys can. $10. Never stop the war on Longhouse. We have too many subversive women pushing anti-patristic slop on Twitter, and I'm glad you've taken to continuously arguing against them. Feminism has no home here. Well, thank you, Patriot. Yes, once again, women are claiming that there is a good man scarcity and that is the reason why the birth rates are in the tank. And unfortunately, that is just not true. The birth rate collapse and marriage rate collapse, again, I don't say this joyfully, I don't say this gleefully, I don't say this to gloat. It lies squarely on women. And maybe I'll do a whole stream about that. And H. Brossi, next time you super chat that earlier in the stream, and I'll do a segment on it if I don't do a stream on it in the future. But thank you for the $10, brother. Thank you again to all the super chatters: Stephen Sterling, Skibbity G, Jonathan Kelly, Ewar Mapping, Paisios, Beauty of the Struggle, Silver Sight. You are all the ones that keep the lights on here at the proverbial World War Now bunker. Again, visit worldwarnow.co, central home base of everything. I'm sure most of you are already on there, so share it with your friends. If you can, gift subscriptions to your friends as well. It's another great way to support the show. But with all of that, thank you so much for tuning in. Keep us in your prayers here at World War Now, and prepare in body and soul, because the next few months, I am definitively saying it's very much probably going to be the big one. So get near a monastery, get near a pious parish, prepare food, water, grow some food, arm yourself, and get right with the Lord. So with all of that, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one. God bless.